Man, so we're back again on a special Wednesday edition of the Undisputed GOAT podcast, man. Look, man, had a hell of a show last week. Our highest rated show ever. Had over 50 views last week, man. So, and not only that, had over 8 shares on Facebook, man. I can't even lie to you, man. I was shocked because I'm just going to be real, man. That was not very much of a shining moment for myself. But I was shocked about that show, man. What about y'all, man?
I said it in our chat. I thought it was actually one of our better shows. I think, part of doing this job, for lack of a better word, you are going to have to handle difficult topics. And because now everything's so intertwined now. When it comes to social politics and pop culture in general, everything is just way more intertwined than it used to be. And at some point, you're going to have to cross that road. And I think we all were on it, us three and PSP. Mm-hmm. I think we handled it great. And I'm not shocked that a social political topic was one of our highest rated shows. It doesn't surprise me. That's usually kind of how it goes on the internet.
Yeah. What about you, BRF?
Well, unfortunately, with last week, I missed most of the show. I came on at the end, but I will say, I'm as a guy who has the views and opinions that I have for myself, I feel like it's very uplifting and a breath of fresh air to hear people different different backgrounds, different areas. It's refreshing to hear people talk about certain topics, like what you discussed, like what y'all talked about, like with what we all know what was talking about, based around Cap. At the end of, so I mean, it's like it's definitely it's good to get points like that out there, to understand that everybody's not going to share the same opinion, but at the same time, it's just about respecting one another and respecting his opinions. And even if you agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, you can still come together like brothers and still kind of keep it pushing at the end of the day, because I feel like we let politics, we let stuff like that divide us too much in this country. And I feel like to a certain extent, unless you're just like a radical and there's no saving your line of thinking, if there can still be a middle ground at some point in time, I think we as a country can thrive better as long if we could come to a middle ground. I know some people mess that up for others, but even though I missed the majority of the show, I felt like it was good that y'all were able to tackle that the way y'all did. And still kind of, not let it destroy any relationships, not let it break up any friendships, to kind of keep it pushing and almost kind of build a stronger bond in that. That's the stuff I like to see. And I feel like that's still at the end of the day what makes America great. And I feel like we need to get back to that to a certain extent. So I just feel like it was a good thing to touch on. And even though I missed it, I have seen some of it, and I just thought it was well done on y'all's part.
Hey, man. Hey, the big three is back in full effect, man. Hey, look, man, I'm not gonna lie, man. It was just like crazy how that show was, man. And hey, that just goes to show you, because at the beginning, when that issue first came about, I had one opinion. But the thing is, that just goes to show you, once evidence starts piling up, as an adult, you can change your opinion. Just always remember that. Once evidence starts getting out there, you can't change your opinion about things. It's part of being an adult. But let's get into this sports, man. Look, it's about to be September, man. I mean, we only like 9 days away from September, man. Excuse me, about 10 days. Hey, in the great words of Green Day, wake me up when September ends, because guess what, man? September and October are peak seasons when it comes to sports, man. I mean, you got the World Series, you got the WNBA finals, you have basketball getting ready to pick up, football is at its peak, you got that weather that's coming down, you got them thigh-high boots that the women be wearing, you got a little bit of everything that's going on during this time. So I got to ask y'all this, man. Peak season, man. How do y'all feel about peak season in sports, and how special is it for sports fans around this time of year? Because it's so much stuff to keep up with. Right now, just between the three of us, just think about what the three of us do. Right now, we're keeping up with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and the Ricky. And, Angel, as we all know, Angel Reese just got a endorsement deal with Reese's Pieces and Reese's Candy. So we're keeping up with that. We're keeping up, me and you, BRF. I know for sure, not sure about how you're doing right now with the Brewers, Flash. We're keeping up with baseball right now to see if we can possibly sneak in somewhere. Basketball talk, although it's ended in the men's side of the things in the NBA, we're still looking at the Olympic team and seeing how much better can that get this year. And, you got to think about the NHL that's coming pretty soon as well, man. So how special are these coming months that we're going to have for peak season of sports, man? You want to start step the tone, BRF?
Yes, sir. And piggybacking of what you're saying as far as the baseball go, flashes in like the Milwaukee area, the Brewers are good. The Brewers are legit. They have this. I think they're tied for like the 6th best record in all of baseball. The Brewers are legit. Yes,
really?
They are legit.
Wow.
They are legit. They are legit. I mean, and just that William Contreras for Sean Murphy deal. Ooh, it ain't looking too good this season. William Contreras has been on point this year. So just to shouting out the Milwaukee Brewers, showing love for them. They're a really good team this year. I feel like as far as the calendar year goes, nothing beats this part of the year with everything that's going on with like baseball getting into high gear, revving up for the playoffs, college football about to get going, the NFL about to get going. Now you got the WNBA hitting an apex as far as like, with not only just Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, but just like the quality basketball that we're actually getting to see out of the WNBA. I'm happy to see it. And then right around the corner, we're going to get back into the NBA is going to be coming back around a corner really, really soon. They're putting the schedules out for that. So, I mean, I don't think nothing beats this part of the year as far as like just it's the anticipation and it's just the excitement with everything going on at once. It's like it's quality sports at its finest right now. And I think what the college football coming back and the NFL coming back is really about to bring it up about 5 notches and set the tone for what's about to go down for the rest of the year. Because champ, us being Falcons fans, this is probably the most excited for a season we've been, if not 2017, coming off of the NFC title, 2012. Like, this is probably one of our most anticipated seasons in a while, and it's amazing what just 2 free agent acquisitions can do for a franchise. So it's just excitement for fans. It's just excitement for fans all over the country, because it's like in the NFL, because whether your team on paper is good or not, when week 1 hits, everybody's 0-0, and everybody feel like they're going to do something. So, I mean, it's just about that anticipation and that excitement for this portion of the year. And with college football as well, them expanding to a 12-team playoff. You're excited because is it going to be the usual suspects, or is it going to be like a couple of Cinderellas that kind of sneak up in the top 12 and knock out one of the perennial powerhouses? I mean,
yeah,
this is a college football season that I'm really anticipating with the 12-team playoff, because I don't want it to be the 12 usual suspects. I want there to be an upset. I want there to be an upset or 2. I want there to be a surprise team to jump in that top 12 and make a playoff run. So just so much going on. So much going on. You can't, like I said, you can't beat this portion of the year in terms of sports. This is where the excitement really gets in the high gear. And now you're going to see, like, if you're late in the season, like with baseball, this is where you're going to see the good teams kind of take it up a notch and really set themselves apart from everybody else. Same thing with the WNBA. So it's just it's excitement. And this is, as sports fans, this is what we live for. And this is why we cover it, we talk about it, we watch it. You can't beat this. So this is like our joy. This is like our joy time right here. You can't get better than this.
Hey, that's exactly right, BRF, man. Look, man, I'm excited, man. The fall is very, very special. Plus, that weather started calming down just a little bit. None of that 100-degree weather down here in Georgia. No more
I'm
1
telling you.
degrees. It's like, damn, finally, God gave us a break on that sun a little bit, man. And shout out to Mr. Watson, man, and the Sports for You podcast. Had a great time on the show last night, man. Go follow them. I call them the best in the West for a reason. So, hey, Flash, what do you think, man? What do you think about the peak season in sports in September and October, man? How special is it for you being not only a Green Bay fan, but a Patriots fan and also a Milwaukee Brewers fan? How special is it for you, man?
I mean, for a while up here in Wisconsin, the Bucks, the Packers have been, and now the Brewers have been, relevant for 20 years now. I mean, you can go back with the Packers. We're going on 30 some years now that they've been relevant. The Bucks have won a title. BRF mentioned that the Brewers have been really good this year. And in fact, there's an argument that they've been the most consistent baseball team throughout the whole year. They've never had a real slump all year. So in general, and I'm also a season ticket holder for the Packers. So this is always like, and I think I missed one opener since I was like 12. And so, the only one I missed was the year that my daughter was born. Other than that, so yeah, and I think the anticipation is, as much as baseball is coming to a head and then basketball is going to start soon, the anticipation has always been about college and pro football. Like that's been the major anticipation. Now that NCAA football is now a game again, and Madden, I know Madden has its issues. I'll just put it that way. I'll say Madden has its issues, but there was always that running meme that like football's on now. Madden's come out, and basically every guy is telling their girlfriend like, "Hey, I'll see you in about like 8 months." So, there still is that a little bit of peace out. I'm this is kind of guy time. Like this is weird. As much as we hear about pumpkin spice and all that kind of that stuff, this is kind of guy time. This is guy time. This is the fall. This is like, the weather starts to turn, especially in Wisconsin. It starts to get cold. It's real like hard nosed guy time, and I think that's the anticipation. There's hot girl summer, and there's
the boys of the fall.
Yeah, the boys of the fall. Peace out.
Boys of the fall.
The boys are just like, we're out. See you later. So I think that's part of it. I think that's it. I think football in general, especially the NFL, has become this country's national pastime town where everybody kind of like converges. And the NBA, as it's weird to say, they've become the number 2 sport, and baseball has kind of fallen to number 3 because the anticipation for the NBA season is great now. Like their marketing on how their season has gotten far and away better. So now the way they market themselves and like their Christmas Day games and then like the opener and everything else, and the opener to the NBA season used to just be like, yay, the NBA season starting, woot. But now they like purposely schedule like big time matchups at the beginning of the season and then Christmas and all that kind of stuff. And they've been doing that now for for years, and it's paid off. So with all this stuff, all the and then now we got the WNBA and the way that's taken off, and it's in the discussion on a daily basis now, which is awesome. And it's not in a social political way either. It's literally in just a sports way, which is an awesome thing. Like I never thought that would happen in my lifetime, and here we are. So, there's so many things to look forward to.
Hey, man, so much to look forward to. A lot of great ball games coming on, and people don't realize, man, this for all the viewers that are watching at this point in time, whether you near or far, realize this is the last week of the preseason. in football, and this is week 0 of college football. Understand what's about to happen over the course of the next couple of months, because guess what? I call it peak seasons because it's kind of like shopping for Christmas toys. It's like, hey, everything is just being put out back after back after back. And I think that it's a great thing, man. Being a sports fan is so great now. And especially for me as a Georgia fan, you know, I am, regardless of the injuries, I'm excited about the Braves. I know they're going to make the playoffs. I'm excited about the Bulldogs, and I'm excited about the Falcons. You mean, I'm excited about all 3 of those teams because at least I know as a sports fan for the state of Georgia, all 3 of my teams can make the playoffs. So I must say, man, I'm excited about this, man. But you know, we got to talking about the WNBA earlier, and as we all know, Angel Reese just signed a huge deal with Reese's Pieces, and it's kind of fitting considering that her last name is Reese. So, and then they got the shirt, the merchandise, and everything. And I think that was huge, you know, not only for herself, but for the WNBA as well, for her to be the face of a huge commodity like that. And I think this is going to pave the way for a lot of other superstars in order to get more endorsements, man. And big shout out to her. But we all know why we watch her is because of this Rookie of the Year race. Now, as we know, Caitlin Clark has been on a roll. She's leading the league for rookies in damn near every statistical category, and she has more assists in one season than a lot of the WNBA players right now over the course of their career, including Diana Taurasi and the great Angel Wilson. But we just saw Angel Reese have a hell of a game when she put up 19-20. She put up 19 points and 20 rebounds, although they lost by a substantial amount of points. So my question to each and every last one of you, and we'll start with you, Flash. The Rookie of the Year race. Angel Reese dropped 19-20 last game. But is it too little, too late? Has Caitlin Clark already won? You have the floor.
Yeah, I think so. I think Caitlin's pulled away. Not only with, you know, the Fever in general are playing a lot better, like as a team. In fact, I think when everybody talked about how Caitlin wasn't picked for the Olympics and she didn't participate in the All-Star, you know, stuff. I think we talked about it in a champ, I think you said it best, like she needed a rest. They needed a rest. And it's paying off now. They're 2 games above Chicago right now. And on top of it, you just look at their stats, like head to head, Caitlin's 2-1. Points per game, Caitlin's 4 points ahead of her. Angel Reese does have her on rebounds, obviously, but Caitlin Clark far outweighs her in assists. They're actually equal on steals.
Yes.
And Caitlin's got her by a hair on blocks. Field goal percentage, though, Caitlin. 3-point percentage, obviously, that's going to be Caitlin. And free throw percentage, Caitlin's got her by a wide margin as well. I just think Caitlin affects the game so much more with her court vision and passing than Angel Reese does. Again, I'm not dismissing what Angel Reese does on the court at all. It's not what I'm trying to say. But I just think Caitlin's now with that rest and Indiana starting to play better. And Indiana was the worst team in the league. And the fact that she's elevated that team to, like, they're going to make the playoffs more than likely. And she's kind of rounding into form. And here's the other thing. Caitlin Clark's ceiling is way higher than Angel Reese's. Like, Caitlin can go for 29, 10, and 10. Angel Reese, that's like if Angel Reese actually did a 29, 10, and 10 triple-double, we would be, like, floored. Caitlin Clark would be like, well, that's kind of what we expect of you. So, like, Caitlin, it's just right now, I think that Caitlin is she's just pulled ahead too far. It's just, now don't be wrong. You know, it could change, but right now I think it's pretty much over.
maybe it's just me before you go, BRF. It seems like after the Chicago Sky traded Mabry, it seemed like they took a huge step back when they traded their shooter. I mean, they took a huge step back as far as the Chicago Sky as a team. Now, granted, Angel Reese has gotten her numbers and things of that nature. And so, I mean, and people could talk about the missed shots, the missed layups, but she is progressively adding a more well-rounded game as far as her mid-range is concerned. So I think the Chicago Sky took a step back once I don't think they should have traded Mabry. I really don't think they should have done that before the All-Star break. And I think that is the reason why they've taken a step back right now. And to be honest with you, it's all going to depend on that. That team is very, very young. I think Kennedy Carter is kind of been erratic as of lately. She hasn't looked as good as she did before the Olympic break. But I think that, as time progresses, I think we're going to see a little bit. We need to see more from the Chicago Sky at this time as far as shooting goes. But I think they lost big when they lost out on Mabry. But what says you, BRF? Is it still co-rookie of the year, or has Caitlin Clark just pulled ahead?
Yeah, no, it's not co-rookie of the year anymore. Kayla Clark got this, and it's just it's recency. I mean, like, I was just kind of doing a little research. If you go just in her last 6 WNBA games long, if you go back to her, you go through her last 6 games, she's got at least 20 points in 5 of them. She's got double-digit assists in 4 of them. At least 1 steal in 4 of them, including that one game against Washington where she had 5 steals, 3 blocks, and then she's got double-digit blocks. No, not the well. She's got more. She's got like at least 2 blocks in 3 of her last 6. So it's recent. It's recency for me. She's starting to turn it on late in the season where it's starting to matter with her trying to get Indiana into the playoffs. And she still has her bad shooting nights as far as shooting percentage. She's asked to take a lot of shots and she's not hitting them. But it's just the overall. I guess it's the overall gravity of her offense, as far as being a playmaker, being a scorer, just everything she brings to the table offensively for Indiana, as well as what she's doing defensively. Like I said, against the Washington Mystics, she had 5 steals and 3 blocks. Yeah, this is coming from your point guard. 5 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, that's insane to me that she's able to. And she also scored 29 points that game too. So I mean, that's just overall just her being what she needs to be for Indiana going late into the season. And don't get me wrong, Angel Reese is doing her thing. Like you said, Champ, she dropped 19 and 20 her last game. And she's playing well. But right now, I think Caitlin Clark is just turning up to a level where Indiana's going to need her getting into the playoffs. 2 games ahead of Chicago right now in the playoffs. I think she's helping that team as a whole kind of mesh. And you're starting to see it. You're starting to see it. They're playing much better basketball. Caitlin. I don't want to say it's completely over, but if she puts out another 3 or 4 games like she's going right now, it's gonna be sold up, and you just gonna have to move on to next year for the next rookie class. Caitlin, right now, it's almost a done deal. Caitlin Clark's got this in the bag.
Hey man, look. I've been beating the drum all year for co-rookie of the year, simply because of the records that they have both been set. Because this is a record. I've been watching the WNBA long before this year. We're not new to this. We're true to this. So the thing is, I was beating the drum for both of them just simply because of the records they have been breaking. I've never seen 2 rookies come into the league and just light it up like a Christmas tree, just every single night. With the double streak, not to mention with Caitlin Clark and the first rookie to get a triple W in the WNBA, all of it. It's just it's been must-see TV. And interesting fact, over the summer, the Indiana Fever had the most views out of any sports team on YouTube with over 800 million views. That is what you call immediate impact. They had over 800 views. That means they have more views than any football, basketball, baseball, or any other team in any league. So
Yep.
that is what you call impact. Not to mention, man, because and let's just call it like it is. Because of the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese effect, I'm just gonna be real. We got to see what happened last night as far as a historic league, a historic night with the Connecticut Sun, facing against the LA Sparks, selling out Boston Garden. They actually had over 19,000 people at a WNBA game.
Yeah.
So because of the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese effect, we got a chance to see that. Now, granted, the WNBA is known for dropping the ball because that game wasn't even televised. And going back to what you said, Flash, the WNBA has a habit of dropping the ball, but because that game should have been televised. But the thing is, man, look, we're seeing a lot of great things out of these two players, man. But I think Caitlin Clark thus far, unless Angel Reese keeps having 19, 20 throughout the rest of the season, which I don't see that happening at this point, considering how they're struggling at shooting at the wing position, because teams are starting to key in on Kennedy Carter a little bit more. I think Caitlin Clark has got it at this point. But, hell of a job for Angel Reese for getting that huge endorsement deal, man. And, man, look, she's becoming a huge crossover star. And, hey, WNBA tunnel, hey, people be thinking that the NBA players, when they walk in with them Versace suits on, if you want to see fashion statements, go to Instagram and watch WNBA tunnel. I watch it every game. And let's go to the chat real quick. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, co-rookie of the year, could be like Peyton Manning and the late great Steve McNair winning co-MVPs. That is a strong possibility. And that would be great, by the way. Shout out to PSP, man, the New Jersey Genius, always doing the big RDJ podcast. Oh, yeah, hey, shout out to RDJ, man. Salute to you as well. But I really think that the rookie of the year race belongs to Caitlin Clark at this point in time. Unless, the Chicago Sky go on a huge run. But as we all know, it's only so long you're going to be able to sell these two as rookies of the year. Now, this is no knock to Angel Reese, but I believe that Caitlin Clark next year is going to be in certain conversations. And that certain conversation is, all WNBA and, NBA All-Star twice over. Because I really think that, she's just that good. But I have to ask y'all this, man. Can y'all see her being like a Steve Nash and leading this team to even greater heights next year? Because she got the rest that she needed, during the Olympic break. She got the rest that she needed. Now they're just reeling them off at this point. They've won 2 in a row thus far against two hell of a teams. So can you see next year Caitlin Clark possibly being in the MVP race next year after a rookie setting year? We'll start with you, BRF.
Can I pose a question before we get to this topic real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned the whole thing about how the game wasn't televised.
Yeah.
Would it be smart for the WNBA to move their schedule where it overlaps a little bit more with the NBA? So then you could literally do like the NBA on TNT and you do a WNBA game and then an NBA game back to back, or like the NBA on NBC now that's going to be, and you do a WNBA game, a WNBA game, and then an NBA game back to back. Like, is that something that they should think about? Or do you think it should have its own thing during the summer?
I mean, you can do both in the summertime, but as the NBA gets here, and especially because you got to watch what days you're going to televise each game, because guess what? Football is going to be televised on Thursday. And if you think you're getting views, even if Caitlin Clark's playing on those days, even if it's a lackluster game, you out your mind. So I think they need to do a better job of the scheduling during that point. And I think whoever the commissioner or the scheduler is need to be looking closely at what these NBA games and what other sports leagues are doing at this point in time, because it seems like the NBA schedule is on perfect days where we're just going to be watching the NBA. They're not going to schedule an NBA game doing damn Monday Night Football.
No.
So that's the thing. They need to do a better job of scheduling it. So I wouldn't mind seeing a WNBA game and an NBA game. I think that would be spectacular, because even if viewers are just tuning in to the last quarter in order to catch the beginning of the NBA game, that's still a hell of a lot of viewers than you once had.
I would just kind of shift it because the NBA usually starts mid-October. Maybe shift it a little bit more into the fall. Have it end, maybe or the playoffs start.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying though, because then they're going to be really competing for views. Because then you got college football, college basketball, NFL. It's kind of a tricky thing, but they do have to do a way better job of like getting their product going. So
out there.
Like I should be like I see not ads, but content constantly for the NFL and college football right now. Like it should be in my face all the time of like, hey, Caitlin Clark this, Angel Reese that. Like we're hey, the this game's 20,000 strong. This should be on on ABC or whatever. Excuse me. I'm sure now that they see that the numbers that next year that marketing will become a little bit more of a priority. That's what I'm hoping, because I don't think that even they anticipated this much explosion in the sport. So, but I apologize for interrupting or to kind of side topic. I just want to ask that before we got.
Man. Everybody needs to. Hey man, look here. I drop more pipe bombs on this show than anybody. So hey, I'm always messing up segments. So I'm just gonna be real, man. Look, good observation, to be honest with you, man. Because guess what? If Reese's was smart, they signed Caitlin Clark too. I'm just saying. If Reese's was smart, you signed her too. That way you got commercials every single week.
Yep.
That's at least 3 years worth of commercials right there. That's a multi-million-dollar campaign that money can't buy. Just like what Converse did with Magic and Bird, and I never forget with McDonald's, because ain't nobody eat them nasty ass fries, but people will eat Reese's, especially around Halloween, especially us going into the fall with Halloween right around the corner. So people will want to eat Reese's. So you're gonna best believe you're gonna see some commercials. So as Reese's was smart, they signed Caitlin Clark as well, just to get an ad campaign going on. But I digress. BRF, do you think that Caitlin Clark has the chance to not win the MVP? Because we know Asia Wilson and Sabrina Rescue is probably going to have that locked in. But do you think she has a chance to be in the running for it next year, considering the stride that she's making every single game?
Well, before I start, fresh McDonald's fries still hit, man. Don't be down to McDonald's fries like that. Fresh Mickey D's fries, they still hit. They still hit fresh. So I can't let you get away with that one. But I digress.
This dude tried to sneak that little comment
in there. He tried. He tried.
He plays off the prize every single time. Just being real.
Oh no.
I'm still taking Arby's and Checkers fries over all of them, but I digress. That's beside the point. But do I think she can put her name in the conversations? It's possible. It's just that you still have Aja Wilson, you still have Sabrina Ionescu, you still have Breanna Stewart. The in my opinion, the definitive 3 best players in the league, definitive. So they're still going to be there. And then you got other names out there. You got Nafisa Collier. She's becoming a dog. She's a really good player. And just I think if the Fever get better and build that team around her better in the offseason going into next season, and then with her actually having time to build having time to build chemistry with the roster and her teammates with her, I think is a very strong possibility. As long as her game improves, she could easily throw her name into the MVP race her second year in the league. She could throw her name out there because of her usage rate, the way Indiana uses her, but yet her ability to shoot, create, playmate, all that. She's already she can score and she can do a lot of different things. So I definitely think she could throw her name in the MVP running next season. Winning it, no, because like I said, as long as you got those 3 there, it's going to be hard. Because as long as they bowl out, it's going to be pretty impossible to consider a second-year Caitlin Clark over those 3 women in terms of an MVP. However, I think we could start to see the ascension of her if they can get that team better around her and they start winning and she continues to up her game and just kind of average, like I'm trying to think a good average for her, maybe like 20, 22, 23, 7-7. She's a point guard. So putting up like, really, good, elite point guard numbers. So I think she's capable of it. She's definitely capable of it because she's got the talent for it. So I definitely think she can, at the very least, she can put her name in the conversation as long as she keeps ascending like this. But not winning it, but she can definitely ascend and put her name in the conversation.
Hey, look, you got a hell of a look. If the Indiana Fever were smart, you got a hell of a lot of free agents next year, and one of them is Kelsey Plum. So you want another shooter to go along with Caitlin Clark. Hey, that's a possibility as well. Not to mention Brianna's. Hey, not to mention you got a hell of a lot. Hey, we got to do a show on WNBA free agency once it goes out, man. But if they smart, they're gonna do some work in free agency. But and knowing Indiana being the basketball town that it is, they're gonna go out and do some things. So they got two of the best point guards, arguably in basketball right now, in Tyrese Halliburton and Caitlin Clark in that state. So I mean, you got to get credit where credit is due. So I think that Caitlin Clark definitely has a chance to be in the conversation, especially putting up the numbers that she have, especially considering next year you're going to have a full off season. You're not going to be forced, from college, from the Final Four all the way into a season without any rest. You're going to have a chance to get ready in the off season. You're going to have a chance to, have a training regimen. You're not going to be forced to have back-to-back games without any practicing with your teammates. And you're going to have a hell of a lot more chemistry. So given all of those things, I think that she's going to definitely have a shot to be in the conversation. Do I think she's going to win? As long as Asia Wilson in this league, no. But I think she has a chance to be in that conversation. But Flash, what do you think? Do you think that she has a chance to put on a Steve Nash-esque type of season next year in the WNBA and become an MVP candidate, or do you think it's too early?
I don't think it's too early. In fact, I think it'll be pushed. I think it'll be marketed that way because it'll create discussion and it'll create the hot button topic. And honestly, I don't. I mean, we spoke earlier about the numbers that she's capable of putting up. There is no real player in the league that's capable of doing that. Like on a night in, night out basis, not at that level. And do I think she wins it next year? I think Indiana would have to be like a top 3 seed, like one of the top 3 teams in the league at that point. I mean, right now they're fourth in their 7. Yeah, they're third in their conference. They're 7th right now. They would have to be in that Liberty, Sun, Lynx area for Caitlin to be, and she'd have to be putting up like 24, 8, and we'd have to see something we've never seen before for her to act. But she's capable. That's the thing. She's very capable of it. So I don't think it's too early. I think she'll be in the discussion next year, especially if she starts. You got to remember, she started out really slow at the beginning of this year. Now she's going to have a whole off season to train, eat right. They're going to improve that team in general. So I don't think it's going to be too early. In fact, I think the WNBA, as a business, you would want her in that discussion. They're going, like I said, they're going to market her in that. She's the face of the league. She is. She's going to be. She is the face of the league. As much as Asia Wilson has been who she is. Caitlin Clark is the face of the league, and she will be the face of the league going forward. It's just kind of the reality. It just is what it is. So they're going to market her that way, and so I think she's very capable of putting up insane numbers. And I think we could very well see that next year with actually a full off season of just training and rest and then improving the Indiana team. Because just watching the highlights, you can tell like they're more comfortable around each other, just that team. The way that they're like, her teammates aren't catching passes off the dome, like off their domes. Like they're actually like catching the ball and reacting. And so just imagine a whole nother offseason with it. And I don't think it's too early at all.
Yeah. And if you haven't noticed, guys, look, I'm just going to keep it all the way a buck with you. As the season has progressed, them damn turnovers didn't went down.
Yep. Which I said it would, by the way. I said it would.
Yeah, yes, you was right on the money with that. As the season has progressed, the turnovers for Caitlin Clark have went down because they have gotten a little bit more comfortable around each other. And guess what? Aaliyah Boston was the first overall pick the year before last for a reason. She's been feeding them. And, people don't realize this. There was a lot of talent on that team, but it takes a catalyst in order to bring out that talent around. And like I said, before, and I hate to make this analogy, but before Larry and Magic got on this prospective teams, there was a lot of talent on those teams. They were first overall pick. There was Hall of Famers on that team. But that one person brought out the best in everybody. And I think that's what Caitlin Clark is doing with the Indiana Fever right about now. I mean, because Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Ho, all of those players a couple of nights ago, it wasn't just Caitlin Clark. You had 2 players that scored 26 points. You had 3 players that scored 26 points, including Caitlin Clark. So for her to go out there and put on a show like that, and knowing that, that type of team ball where she is just, and she's a floor general. She is a floor general. So to see the way she's performing on that type of level, and she's putting these players in the best position in order to make plays, is flat out amazing. And word to the wise for the WNBA, and I hate to say this on the air, stop calling stupid technical fouls. That was the dumbest technical foul I've ever seen in my entire
the padding.
The one where she punched the stanch and then they called the tech on her.
They called a technical foul on somebody. Man, come on, man. Like I said in the video earlier this year, her and Angel Reese was getting mollywopped earlier in the year, and I ain't seen not one suspension yet. So y'all need to calm down. So because she missed one game, you're gonna lose at least $100 million. You can just believe that. So I ain't spending nobody. Let her let her cry all she want to. So I mean, I'm just gonna be real.
I'm going to say something too. Don't be shocked if Indiana makes a semi-deep playoff run. Don't be shocked at all. I don't think Indiana, I don't think they're as good as Liberty. But if Caitlin Clark gets hot, you can't stop her. Because here's the thing. Even if you're double and triple teaming her and you're keeping her points to the mid-teens, she's gonna have 13 assists. She's gonna all right, well, I'm just gonna play ball this way then. And it's just I think it's gonna I'm excited to see the playoff run.
Yeah. Hey, in the great words of Kevin McHale, man, look, Larry and Magic can control the game with 10 shots.
Yeah.
And be the best players on the floor. And I think Caitlin Clark has the capability of doing that. They can control the game with 10 shots. She can control the game with 10 shots. And the thing is, remember what they said about Jordan. If you held Jordan to 10 shots, then you controlled him. And I think that she is a hybrid to me between Steve Nash and Bird and Magic. That's how I look at it. Because she's a little bit more shorter as far as stature is concerned. She's a little bit more quicker than they are, as far as, modern day, I would say. But, hey, I think that she has a chance to be in the MVP race, and it wouldn't surprise me if they made a deep playoff run. Matter of fact, man, look, if they do, hey, in the great words of Deion Sanders, are you mad about the money? Because I ain't. So nope. I think it'll be a damn good job.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I think I like the Steve Nash comparison. I also think she's got a little bit of Steph Curry in her. But she's got that passing ability of what Bird and Magic did, where she can see the floor. I think she sees the floor as a passer way better than like Nash or Curry. Like she sees the floor like Magic or Bird. Like you go back and see how good of a passer Larry Bird was.
Mm-hmm.
You're right though. She can control.
Control the game with 10 shots. You don't need a lot of shots.
This goes to my point of where her game affects the game so much more than Angel Reese's game does, because she just is. You're right, because she can only take. She doesn't have to take 30 shots. She just take 10, and she can just adapt and just go. All right, well, you guys are going to double, triple team me. I'm going to put my other players in the best position possible so we can still win the game. It's just beautiful to watch the way she plays.
Yeah. And look, man, not to steal anything away from Angel Reese, but I'm just being real, man. It looks like she should have been the first player that the Chicago Sky take, because Cardozo has had some bright moments, but the star of that team, the person who had the brightest moments, is Angel Reese. I mean, for her to be setting records like that, I mean, and they've been pretty much shutting Cardozo down a lot of the time. So big ups to Angel Reese for, doing what she's doing for that Chicago Sky team. BR, if you got anything to add, bro?
No, I mean, y'all pretty much hit everything on the head. I will say that I do like one thing I do appreciate about Caitlin Clark is like her passion and her fire. Like, I know a lot of people do kind of get turned away, a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, hey, when you gotta play like her, and you gotta lead like the WNBA, who's trying to get to that next level, you kind of need that. You need that jolt. You need that kick in the butt. You need a player like her, who I've said before. Sometimes I've said before, saying you still a rookie, you still learning. You may be good, but tone it down a little bit, because these players they see you, and they know the notoriety you already getting. They will cold cock you. They will knock you down. But just seeing her just kind of thrive through that, you respect that. So yeah, I do think the sky's the limit for her as far as her ability and what she can do, not only for the league, but as far as like her individual play, what she can do for the Indiana franchise. If they just build that franchise right around her, I think she could do some really great things, just as long as the stars align for her. So yeah, the sky's the limit for her, to be honest.
Yeah. Hey, man, look. Hey, hell of a job by the WNBA. Do a better job on marketing, but the thing is this, man. Hell of a rookie season by both of these young women, man. I'm excited to see more as they progress, especially with the offseason coming as well. Because if they're doing this with minimal rest, imagine what they're going to do with a full offseason.
Yep.
I just can't wait to see it. But, man, look, hopping off the basketball train and hopping onto that pig skin. The fall is all about the pig skin. We don't, pumpkin spice, that's good. The wine, that's good. But football is all about that pig skin. Hey, it's time. Hey, like I always say, it's time to turn in that resignation form. Honey, I'll see you after Valentine's Day, after the Super Bowl. That's when you'll see me again. Because I'm about to watch all the football games, man. But, NFL, y'all need to calm the hell down on them damn prices as far as NFL Sunday tickets, $679. Y'all need to chill.
Dude.
But look at VR.
That's the one reason. That's the one reason why I have never, to this day, ordered a season of NFL Sunday ticket. They are too damn expensive.
Dude, I used to when it was like $2.99, like years ago when I had DirecTV. And but now, how is it getting more expensive? Like, how you legitly charge $700 for? Here's the dumb thing: is that you can find it online for free. It ain't that hard. Like,
or, hey, Flash, I'm gonna interject on you. Hey, your boy a student, right? So guess what? Your student ID, they cut that shit down to like $200. So imagine what I'm gonna do right about now.
But
so,
I just sit there and I go, like you can find it online. Like you can go, if you have an Android phone, you can get an app and then you can stream any game you want for free. Yeah. And then you don't even have to watch it on your phone. You can just literally mirror it to your TV. Yeah. And it's an HD, just like, so like these prices that they're doing right now, you're just going to drive people to finding alternatives.
Yeah.
Like this has gotten to the point where it's like we're all old enough to know like the cable prices and everything. And now we're like, I got to pay this much. I have to have this, streaming service and this streaming service. But then for this Thursday game, for these like 4 Thursday games, I got to have Amazon. And then for another one, I got to have Netflix. And then now I got to get, this is getting really silly.
Yeah.
Like this is getting like out of hand. Like, I don't understand why the NFL like doesn't just, why don't you just come out with like, fine if you want to do the whole Sunday ticket thing, but why don't you do like how it used to be for like $300? And then let's say you want a certain team, like I want to watch the Patriots. Well, they're not going to be on national television much anymore because, they stink. Yeah. But I'll pay $50 to watch all their games.
I mean, I think that'll be a good idea, man. But
like $30. Like, why don't you have like a whole division? Like there's like, you can pay for like a single team, a division, a conference, the league, like whatever, but bring down the prices, man. Like you're just going to drive people away. Not to mention we're in the economy that we're in right now where barely anybody can afford groceries. Like, what are you doing, NFL?
Hey, I'm just being real. Y'all need to calm down on them prices in NFL. Hey, shout out to Clayton, one of my battle buddies. We served together, man. Me and Champ know what to do with a $700 silver. Shout out to Clayton, man. I got to make my way back up to Peachtree City. Shout out to you, man. But I got to ask this. We just lost BRF for a minute, man. We all know it's about that pig skin. And college football is back. We're on week 0 at this point. Florida State and Georgia Tech is playing this weekend. Big shout out to those 2 feature programs. And look, man, we all know there's a lot of coaches that's on the hot seat this year in football, man. You got Coach Prime, although he's only been at Colorado for 1 year. You have, a lot of coaches that have been, just, on the fence. But one coach that has been on the hot seat is Ryan Day from the Ohio State University. I got to put some respect on Ohio State. As y'all know, during our first national championship run, the Georgia Bulldogs, the Ohio State Buckeyes gave me 3 heart attacks because they was literally, during that second title run, they was literally lighted up like Christmas trees in December up until Marvin Harrison Jr. went out, and then we was finally able to come back. So big ups to Ohio State. But you heard Urban Meyer say today that this is arguably the most talented Ohio State team that we've seen since that Ohio State team that won the national championship. So you heard him say it earlier today. So my question to y'all, and once we get BRF back, I'll ask them the same question. Is Ryan Day on the hot seat at this point? He lost to Michigan for, almost 3 years in a row. Got BRF back. He lost to Michigan almost 3 years in a row. This is his 4th year. And, you got to ask yourself, if he loses to Michigan again, is he up out of there? Especially considering that all the odds are going for you beating Michigan this year. Jim Harbaugh, he's gone. The coach is on probation. The program is on probation. So all the odds point to you in the Big Ten. I don't think that Lincoln Riley has the capability of beating Ohio State, considering that USC has no defense at this point in time still after all of these years. And I don't think that Penn State has the capability of beating Ohio State this year. So if you pull all of that together, you have a clear path to the playoff and maybe even a national championship. So is Ryan Day on the hot seat if he does not win a national championship this year, or at least make it to the national championship this year, Flash?
No, I don't. He's got a 56-8 record in his 5 seasons as head coach since 2019. He's 39-3 against the Big Ten. He's won back-to-back Big Ten championships in 2019 and 2020, and he's got a 2020 Sugar Bowl and a Rose Bowl victory. the landscape of now. Don't get me wrong. There's no reason they should lose to Michigan this year with everything that Michigan is going through and losing Harbaugh and everything else. But I don't think he's on the hot seat this year. Now, I think if they lose to Michigan, sure, But I think national title wise, like this is our first year of the 12-team playoff. It's going to be this whole landscape has changed now. So I don't. I think all the programs are going to be navigating this in a different way. Like this is a very different thing than what we've had to do. This is all new for all of us, and including but the programs, especially the powerhouse programs, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, and so on and so forth. I think this is going to be a very different season how they handle it. Looking at their schedule. They got a pretty easy schedule, I will say. It's real easy. They shouldn't lose a game.
No.
They shouldn't lose a game. So, I think he would be on the hot seat. Let's say they lose 2, then I think then there's some problems. Then I think there's some issues there. Because there's no reason. You're right. I don't think Penn State's there. Michigan is on dealing with everything they had to deal with during the season and the off season. Do I think he's on the hot seat now? No, but could it be? If the season goes bad, yes.
Yeah. Hey, I will say this, and then I'll let you go, BRF. Ryan Day reminds me a lot of Kirby Smart, except he's in the Big Ten, because I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of faith, in my humble opinion, being lost in Kirby Smart once he lost twice to Bama. Once in that national championship, and then the very next year, we lost in the SEC championship when Jalen Hurts had that magical comeback after we knocked Tua out of the game. So I compare him a lot to Kirby Smart because he has the capability of winning. We've seen his team in the playoffs. The thing is, he just hasn't gotten over the hump. And I believe that with Jim Harbaugh out of the way, and with a lot of the other teams not being ready at this point, I think that we can and with the work that he's done in the transfer portal, because Ohio State did a damn good job in the transfer portal, especially stealing Quinshon Jenkins from Ole Miss, one of the best backs in the damn college football right about now, and he could be a Heisman candidate depending on how he's used in that offense. But I think that him and Kirby Smart have a lot in common, because remember, a lot coming off of Mark Richt, and you know this for a fact, BRF, after losing a national championship, then losing the SEC championship, then having a lackluster season right after that, there was a lot of faith being lost in Kirby Smart up until that last game where we finally won a national championship. So I compare Ryan Day's role a lot to Kirby Smart's, and I think that he has a lot of potential this year with this team in order to win a national championship, to finally get that quote-unquote load off of his back in order to say, okay, I finally brought something back to Ohio State. Michigan did it last year, now it's me. And it's been documented already that my 2 early pick is Georgia versus Ohio State in the Natty, but this is a very, very talented team. And that's how come I equate Ryan Day to the great Kirby Smart, because their paths are very, very similar. But BRF, what says you?
Right now, I'm with you. Georgia, Ohio State is my national championship game prediction as well at the moment. But I will say this though, he's got to do something this year. As far as like he's got to get into the playoffs. In my opinion, he's got to make a run. He's got to show people that okay, we didn't win the national championship. We're right there. He's got to show something this year. And I mean, and it's practically, if there's ever a season for him to do it, particularly in that Big Ten, this is the year for him to do it. With Jim Harbaugh being gone and Michigan kind of being on the downslide with all the trouble that they got into. Now, I will say this, though. On paper, no, Penn State should not hang with them. But every time we say that, Penn State gives them a game, because that's just Penn State, and that's just what they do against Ohio State. They always give them great games no matter where it is or what the situation is. So I'm not Penn State for me is always one of those games that Ohio State can slip up on because Penn State's going to come out and they're going to look to rip their heads off. I mean, that's just what they do every year. They look to come in, and even if Ohio State gets them in the long run, it's not for a lack of trying on Penn State's part. But as far as Ryan Day being on the hot seat, I don't think he is at the moment. Just because I think he's got that team ready. He's got that team ready to do something this year. I mean, yeah, like you said, getting Quinshaw Jenkins, man, like a steal, and like putting him in that offense that's very running back centric. He's gonna have an opportunity to touch the rock a lot and do some things. And then on top of that what's that wide receiver's name that everybody's talking about?
I forget his name, but I know who you're talking about.
That, like, so what's he like? 6'3", 6'4", 220.
Yeah,
Fast as all get. I'm talking about like the next, like, well, I don't know what it is with Ohio State and these wide receivers, but they get them. They know how to get them. They know how to get them. Whether it's Chris Olave, whether it's Chris Olave, whether it's Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, they had Jameson Williams before he transferred to Alabama, so that just says what Ohio State is in terms of recruiting wide receivers, and the long lineage of history of their wide receivers, going back to Joey Galloway, going back to Chris Gamble playing both sides of the ball, going back to Michael Jenkins making that ridiculous catch against Michigan in that game. Just the lineage of really good to great wide receiver play has always been there for Ohio State, and it just keeps going. I do think Ryan Day has a really good opportunity to make a real strong national championship push this year because it's laid out right there for him. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're adding USC to the Big Ten. USC should be more scared of the Big Ten than the Big Ten should be scared of USC, quite frankly, because you're coming into a situation. Oh yeah, you're bringing offense to the SEC, to the Big Ten. Okay, so what? Big Ten teams, they thrive on that because of how hard and how rugged they play defense from top to bottom. Even if they're not highly ranked defensively, they share kind of a common mentality as we're coming to rip your heads off. I mean, that's how Big Ten teams do it in terms of how they play defense. I mean, having to see Penn, having to see Ohio State, having to see Wisconsin, having to see Michigan. I mean, regardless, Michigan's still going to be playing some defense. I mean, I really think Ryan Day is ready to like really kind of. I want to see him make a stand too. I want to see him do something because I do think he's a really good coach, and I really do think he has really he's really brought something to that program, and just I don't think he's on the hot seat, and I don't want to see him get on the hot seat, but I really feel like if he doesn't at least get to the national championship game this year, he's going to come back a lame duck coach. That's just how I feel, because these blue blood programs, man, they are about winning national championships, and they can only take not winning a national championship for so long without looking to replace you to find someone that can get it done for them. But yeah. I think if he doesn't at least get to the national championship game this year, he will come back a lame duck coach. That's how I feel.
Flash.
Do we? I don't know if we've ever really gotten on this subject before, but are we okay with the new landscape of college football and how it is?
If like, you want me to be honest, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Like having USC in the Big Ten, that just makes my.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
It makes me automatically go, like.
I don't. Yeah.
It doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't. Do you like how these conferences are just, and these teams are just slowly, basically? I'm an old school guy.
Me personally, I don't either. Like USC in the Big Ten, Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. I can't. I can't. Me personally, I can't get with it. I can't get with it either. I understand why these schools are doing it, and I mean, hey, get the bag, do what you got to do, get the money for your program, get the bag. But when you look at how these conferences are like structured now, like the SEC is what like the SEC is what like they're 14 teams. They're what 14, 16 teams now. Like, bro, like come like they're 16. The SEC is 16 teams now. Like they literally got rid of division play. Now it's just if you're first or second in the SEC, you go to the SEC championship game. Like I loved the two division layout, the East and the West. I love that about the SEC. And it's like your schedule is based around that. And if you can get through if you get your conference, you get through your division. You win it, you play for them. Yeah, it's just, I guess there's freedom to have some interesting matchups now in the SEC championship game now. That is not East versus West anymore. Like you could go back, you could get an Alabama, LSU, SEC title game now, or Georgia, Tennessee, or Georgia, Florida, or something like that. But like I was a proponent. I love the two divisions. I loved it. I love the conference. I love conferences having two divisions because it feels like every week there's something on the line. And I feel like it's kind of watered that down a little bit with these super conferences now. I don't like it.
Go ahead. Flash.
No, I don't either. I mean, we got UCLA in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
We got Rutgers, it's Washington, USC. To me, like as a Wisconsin guy, Big Ten guy, I want conference play and then the couple outliers. You know what I'm saying? Like, like when Ohio State would go play Notre Dame, or when Ohio State would randomly go play USC. Now I know we're going to see because of the conference, but like. It meant something when that game was a non-conference game. Yeah. And now it just seems like everything's being consolidated to just the Big Ten and the SEC. And it's like I don't know. Champ, you do your thing. Because maybe I'm just being an old school guy and I'm not like thinking in a forward manner, but it just doesn't make me feel good when I say it.
No, Champ, before you go, Champ, I want to say this real quick. I guess my biggest thing is I don't want to feel too much like a hypocrite though, because I do support the NILs and the players with the NILs. So it would like the colleges getting their money. I don't want to sound too much like a hypocrite because I mean at the end of the day the colleges are kind of getting their money too. But I guess I support the NILs from the standpoint of coaches jumping colleges year to year, leaving these players high and dry. So I feel like, okay, well, why can't the players just jump? Maybe not school to school, but like, okay, if they know they're not going to start somewhere, okay, they can go somewhere else. And then the paying the athletes, I felt like they should have been doing this years ago, but that's just my opinion. I'll let you. Yeah, you go ahead, Champ. I just kind of want to get it out there too.
Hey man, I'm gonna just be real. Look, I don't have no problem with these super conferences as long as you stay true to the game. Like, I'm mad it's HE double hockey six. We're not going to see the Red River Showdown anymore.
Yeah.
We're not going to see Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma. Like, what the world going on in Miami, bro? Like, what's that about? It's like, come on. It's like if you can have these super conferences, but at least stay true to the game. Right. We need to have those. We need to have the Red River Showdown. We need to have Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma. We need to have those Notre Dame versus USC. Right. I'm all for that consolidation if you're going to stay true to the game. I don't think we're going to see these worldwide out-of-conference rivalries anymore, like those in-conference rivalries anymore like we normally would see. Like, we're not going to see Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State, and that's a travesty. We're not going to see, Texas versus Oklahoma State, and that's a tragedy. It's still a question of if you're going to be able to see, and with Notre Dame, how they schedule each and every single year, I'm not so sure they're going to be independent for very, very long.
I don't know if they can hold out.
I don't think they can. You know, the thing is, because their independence predicated on their independent TV contract. I don't think
talking about Notre Dame.
Yeah, I don't think they have
They're
enough.
They're gonna have to join the conference eventually. They're not gonna be able to hold out.
Yeah, I don't think they have enough juice anymore in that program, especially with Brian Kelly getting the hell on and coming down south to LSU. And I don't think they have enough juice to stand on their own anymore like they used to.
No,
because you know it used to be a big part of their recruiting process was to be able to say, hey, we got a big ass TV contract from NBC. We're going to be seen on TV every single Saturday. If nobody else gets seen, you can come up here and you're going to be at least seen by these NFL scouts. You don't have that leg to stand on anymore. And so, yeah. And plus, I've been through South Bend. It's not a very attractive place I really want to go to. So
I literally just drove through there on the way to Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
It's a cool
campus. Trying to go there.
It's a cool campus. I love the campus.
Cool campus, but I'm not going to go up there and just say, "Hey, I'm going to stop." Hell no.
Oh, no. If I'm from 18 well, that's the thing. Look, I have Notre Dame memorabilia down in my basement. Like I'm an old school Notre Dame guy too. You know, I'm from the Midwest. You know, I'm old enough to remember, like, you know, Rocket Ismail and you know and those
Ricky
teams.
Waters.
Yeah, Ricky Waters, and that. Like, I grew up in that. That was my era, and in my opinion, Notre Dame's been trading on their name for a long time now. Like, even their rankings have been on. Like, don't get me wrong, they've had some good teams, but, you know, they haven't sniffed a national title. And the one time that they even sniffed a national title, they went against Alabama. It looked like, you know, men versus toddlers. So I don't think they can hold out for much longer. They'd have to win a national title for them to be to keep holding out. I mean, their basketball team's already in the Big Ten conference, isn't it?
No, they had to play in that conference in order to be a part of the COVID championship, national championship year. But the thing is, it used to Notre Dame's name was so strong at one point that they could hold out. And like I said, based on that, because everybody knew that Notre Dame had a TV contract with NBC, you was going to at least be seen every single week on TV. And you had that to stand on. But now with free agency, NIL, which is free agency, by the way.
I mean, I'm about to say.
So, but now with NIL and stuff like that, you're going to have to join the conference in order to get some of that conference money. And I don't think the ACC is the bad destination for you, because I'm going to just be real. You got a better chance of winning the conference championship and a championship in the ACC than you trying to come down south, because you're going to get the brakes beat off you every week. I'm just going to be real with you. I mean, if you don't get beat by Georgia, you're going to be beat by Texas, and people are selling short Oklahoma. But I don't think Oklahoma is going to go downhill like people think they're.
I mean, the most logical conference that Notre Dame should go to is the Big Ten. Like, that's been the natural. Everybody's talked about it. Them going to the Big Ten has been kind of the natural slide in there. So I don't know, man. It's weird. I'm a half and half guy on the NIL. I do think that the players should be paid and compensated, because I think the NCAA has been one of the most corrupt organizations of the past, like 30, 40, 50 years. My problem is that kind of like what you were saying, Champ, if the thing about college football, one of the biggest things about it is tradition.
Yeah.
And if you don't stay true to that, that's where, like, old heads like me or purists like me, you just kind of like squirm at it. Like, all right, like, I'm okay with some change, but at the same time, it's like, if you don't stay true to the tradition, that's a problem.
And not only that, you got to think about this, man. That's how you get your viewers, and that's how the alumni stay true, and that's how the diehard fans stay true, man. I hate that I'm not going to see the Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma. I hate that I'm not going to see certain rivalry games.
Bedlam over the past decade. Yeah, Bedlam over the past decade has been one of the more underrated rivalries in college football. The fact that Oklahoma State has gotten them sometimes is one of the more underrated rivalries in college football.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm not going to see that rivalry anymore. I may not get to see the Red River Showdown anymore. I'm not going to see Notre Dame really versus the world anymore, and it means something. When they say all you want to about Notre Dame, when they play somebody, it's Notre Dame, and when they're winning, college football is at its apex.
Oh, when they played Georgia a couple years ago, I was hyped. I was excited.
Yeah, we beat the brakes off of them. But the thing
Yeah, we
is,
did.
I love every bit of it. But yeah, I mean, because to me, honestly, Notre Dame, people talk about Duke in basketball. Notre Dame is that in football. They was and is that in football. You know, the quote unquote squeaky clean program that you don't see too caught up in scandals and stuff like that. You see that with Notre Dame and Duke. You don't see them really in the news like that as far as scandal is concerned. But yeah, but to not see Notre Dame versus the world and it means something, to see USC playing Michigan in a conference game where you know they're gonna get the brakes beat off of them, is kind of like crazy, because you know that I don't think that Lincoln Riley offensively can outcoach Ryan Day, but overall, do I think he has the better team? No. And ironically, he ran from Oklahoma because he didn't want to come to the SEC. Now you're going to an even tougher conference. So I find that to be very, very ironically anticlimactic and funny, if you want me to be honest with you. But tradition is often trumped by dollars. If you want to get rid of tradition, throw some dollars at it. If you want to get rid of Sunday dinner, go ahead, throw some dollars at it. If you want to get rid of, certain traditions as far as family traditions, throw some money at it. And that's always going to be the way it is. And the thing is, the craziest thing is, although, you don't want to sound like the bitter old man, we're not done seeing tradition getting tossed out of the window at this point in time. This is only the beginning, because now NIL is trickling down to high school football. And eventually, when it trickles down, when it starts trickling, it's only a matter of time before they get them at middle school. And so, and then, you're going to see a lot of guys becoming uncoachable. But I digress. But let's switch gears, man. Let's go from the Big Ten to the SEC. The BRF, I'm going to have you answer this question first, man. I got to ask you this question, you being a Georgia Bulldogs fan.
Shoot a ball.
Is it a foregone conclusion that we're going to win the SEC this year, or does Bama and Ole Miss have something to say about that? As you know, Nick Saban retired, and that was a huge blow to Alabama. But Kalen DeVore did go to a national championship last year, and I believe that he could develop Jalen Milroe into a better passer with the air raid offense. I believe that he can do that. So when you add that, I believe he can be a poor man's Lamar Jackson if he can properly develop him over the course of the offseason and over the course of the season. So, and not to mention, I think it's Jackson
Dart.
Jackson Dart. Yeah, excuse me. Jackson Dart. I think that Lane Kiffin offense is, something to behold. I know they lost Quinshawn Jenkins, but as long as you got Lane Kiffin as a good offensive mind on your team, I think you got to change. So, is it a foregone conclusion that we're going to win, or these two teams, or maybe even another team you might want to throw out there has something to say about that? BRF, you have the floor.
Georgia absolutely should be the favorite to win the SEC, but it is not a foregone conclusion because their three toughest games of the year are all on the road. They have to go to Tuscaloosa, they have to go to Austin, and they have to go to Oxford. They have to go. They go to Alabama, they go to Texas, and they go to Ole Miss. So no, it is not a foregone conclusion. They should definitely be the favorites because they're bringing practically everybody back. And particularly, we get to see Carson Beck, more growth in that offense. I think he's the best. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. I think he's going to be the best quarterback coming out for next year's NFL draft. But it's not a foregone conclusion that they're just going to win the SEC because I just gave you three reasons why. Their toughest games are on the road, and in my opinion, it's the three teams that they should worry about come SEC conference time. It's Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss. They have to play them all on the road this year. So I saw that schedule for the first time, and I'm like, good God, you got to be kidding me. And people are still talking about 12-0. Shit, no. Man, pull let's pull the reins back a little bit. Georgia, I think should be the favorite still, just from the standpoint, because I think above all else, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I think their talent level is going to wear down a lot of that, pretty much all their competition, really, except for those three teams. And then traveling on the road is really what's going to make it difficult. This is what I'll say. If Georgia can go on the road and beat all three of these teams on the road, that is the scariest proposition for any team having to play them come college football playoffs. Because if they get there, because you're looking at a team, we beat all these teams on the road, and we're going into the college playoffs to neutral sites, and y'all think y'all got a shot with us, and we just did that on the road. That's the one thing I don't think college football wants to see is Georgia win all three of those games on the road, or even at least two of them on the road. So no, it's not a foregone conclusion that the SEC is a lock for them, but I do think they are the favorite because I do think they are the most talented team, and they're the team with, in my opinion, the most chemistry. Because I mean, like Alabama, Nick Saban retired. They have Kalen DeBoer. He's a really good coach, but I mean that's a first year coach instituting his schemes, his offense in there, getting everybody accustomed to it. But I think Alabama's talented enough that they're still going to be formidable come the season. Texas bringing Quinn Ewers back was a big boost for them. Him staying in school. So, and then again, like I said, Jackson Dart is a beast. Some of the games he played last year, some of the numbers he's putting up, he's a beast. Like he is gonna be in that Heisman running for sure. So favorites Georgia should be, but foregone conclusion that is a lock. Absolutely not.
Flash.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion either, just because of all the points that BRF kind of pointed out. I also think that, kind of going back to my point where I said before, that now this is a different world in college football that we're dealing with right now. So BRF mentioned they're going to have to go on the road against Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss. Okay. Not to mention they also play Tennessee at the end of the year, which is ranked in the top 15. So
exactly.
But here's the other thing that I look at that. Now we got a 12-team playoff. Regardless if they have to go into neutral sites, now you got to replay these teams again.
Mm-hmm.
How tired are these kids going to be? How do you strategize this now? Is this a different ball game where, like, now, losing one game isn't as big of a deal as it used to be? Losing one game was huge. Now you can lose two and still sneak in as like the 8th seed, the 9th seed. Do you, if you're, how do you strategize with this? Are these kids going to be tired and played out? Where before, like, you'd end the conference and then you'd have like weeks before a bowl game. Now it's like, I haven't even looked at the playoff schedule, but this is going to be a very different type thing. Like, as much as I think Georgia is the most talented college football team that we got right now, how is that going to factor into the schedule, and then how is the playoff going to affect that? Yeah. So, as much as I think, yeah, you're right. I think it should be Georgia, Ohio State. I think we might have a very different outcome because these teams might be really tired going into this playoff, and then and then getting it and going through the playoffs.
Hey, I will say this: it's a foregone conclusion for homers, but I don't think it is. The thing is this, man. It ain't no safe games in the SEC. None, and that's just based on experience alone. Because guess what? You can come out here one day tiptoeing and, hey, now you just took an L. And they have to go undefeated if they want to get their first bye week. They have to. And the thing is this, even if you go on the road, I think one thing that's going to determine the Natty more than anything now, just like it does in March Madness, you know what that is? Attrition. Now, it is a war of attrition because injuries are going to affect more down the stretch of the playoffs. Now, if you get hurt if one of your key players get hurt 1 week, guess what? You're not getting them back the next week.
Nope.
So you still got to go out there the very next week in order to play another playoff team. And if you want to win a national championship and you're not in one of those top seeds, you got to win 3 games in a row. Just like they do in the NFL, you got to win 3 games in a row. So yeah, I think that attrition. Oh, my bad.
Go ahead. No, it's my fault. You go, dude.
I think that attrition is going to be a factor in the national championship now more than ever, much like it is in the NFL. I think that a lot of, fatigue is going to go into a factor. I think that they say the games are not going to mean as much, but I beg to differ because guess what? Hey, if you miss a player in week 7 and you got 6 weeks in order to get him back, then guess what? Your behind got to win every single game going down that stretch in order to get him healthy so you can have a chance at winning the national championship. So that way you only got to win 2 games. So I think that it's going to mean a lot. I don't think the conference game is going to mean a lot. But if you want a high seed, it's going to mean a lot. So I think that now one drawback that I think we're going to see is this. And this is my biggest fear in college sports. And this is what happened in the NFL. I think this is going to happen. And that's when all hell is going to break loose. Because we've seen guys opt out of bowl games. But I think all hell is going to break loose when you see a Georgia that's 12-0 going into that conference championship and they say, oh, hell no. We're not playing our starters against Alabama and they're 11-2. We're still going to get a high seed. I'm going to hold my guys out.
And people are going to get pissed.
No, they're going to get more than pissed. All hell is going to break loose, and Bedlam is going to break loose. And you're going to hear about it on every single platform. That is my biggest fear at this point in time. That's my biggest fear, that we're going to have a couple teams go undefeated. They're already undefeated now. And they're looking at, especially when it goes to, because this is just the beginning of the expansion of the 12 teams.
Yep.
This is just the beginning. Then it's finna go to 16, and it's because you can best believe teams are going to start complaining in a minute, and then it's going to start going to 16. So the thing is this. You got to think about if Georgia or even Ohio State, even Notre Dame, well, they're not in the conference right now, even Clemson, if they manage to find their way, if they go into a conference championship and they're undefeated and they're saying, hell, we about to get a number 1 seed anyway, what the hell I need to play my guys for in this conference championship game? And the viewership goes down on that conference game, then all hell is going to break loose.
Oh, I'm going to tell you.
I never thought about that.
That's what I was kind of you expanded on my thoughts way better than I could get out, because that was my point about strategy. How does this work now? So, everybody was kind of okay, or a lot of people were okay with players opting out of bowl games and stuff like that because, oh, I don't want to risk my health and blah, blah, blah. Well, now these guys are getting paid. Now you better show up. Like this, because I'm telling you right now, I'll be pissed as a football fan. Is now we fought for years to get these kids paid. And now all of a sudden they're going to go, I don't know. Or coaches too. You're right.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the kids more so than the coaches, because the thing is, you got to play. My thing is this. If you want to get paid and see another dime of that NIL money next year,
you better play.
To my knowledge, you got to renew every single year. It's not like long term. Guess what? You got to pay in order to play. So guess what? Hey, I'm not worried about the players. I'm worried about more so the coaches saying, can you imagine going down the stretch? Ryan Day says in the Big Ten championship, hell, and let's say, look, and this is a stretch, by the way. This is me reaching so hard that I'm going to break my arm. Let's say if this happens, Ryan Day gets to the Big Ten championship. Ryan Day gets there, and all of a sudden he has to play, let's say a 9-3 team in the Big 12 championship. Do you really think he's going to be anxious to put his star players out there? Hell no, and I wouldn't be.
Well, I'm just going to ask, would you want to as a coach?
Hell no, I'm not.
No.
You see it in the NFL all the time. I mean, that's the thing. It's going to become more NFL-esque Because guess what? You're not, and the thing is this, you're not going to be able to blame the kids for this.
Nope.
That's the thing I like about it, because guess what?
Well,
you
yeah.
can't say this kid opted out of it. Hell, that's the coach's call. You can't blame the Quinshawn Jenkins for Ryan Day saying, I'm not going to play my starters against, and this is just a hypothetical speaking, I'm not going to play my starters against UFC, and they 9-3. They don't have a chance to get into the damn playoffs anyway. So guess what? I'm not going to send Quinshawn Jenkins out there to get hurt, and I don't have him over the course of the next 2 games, and I can't get to the college football playoffs, and I can't get to the national championship once I get to the college football playoffs, mind you. That's the thing. What I like about it is they can't blame the players. They can't say, well, these players don't want to play. They got to look directly at the coaches now. And as a coach, you have to ask yourself that question. Is this conference title worth me missing my starting running back? And I think that those rivalry games late in the season are not going to mean much either, because, hey, think about this, BRL, is, hey, last game of the season, usually Georgia Tech versus Georgia, is Kirby Smart really going to send Carson Beck out there in order to get manhandled and potentially get hurt against that Georgia Tech team?
If they're undefeated going into that game, there's a high probability players are going to sit.
Yeah. So that's my thing. And that's my biggest fear about, these conference games. Because going down the stretch, you can say, hey, I'm going to put my starter, especially if you got a cupcake schedule going down the stretch. Hey, I'm going to put my starters in, and we're going to blow them out in the first half and run up the score to like 60, and then I'm going to put my young men in and let these guys rest. That's the whole biggest thing. And you got to ask yourself, how much is that going to affect viewership at a certain point? Or, because the thing is, you have to look at the coaches now.
Well,
the player, you're not going to be able to blame the players. So the thing is, how much of a bad rap are these coaches going to get? Or they're setting a bad example for the kids. But the thing is, they do the same thing in the NFL. If you look at, then I'll give you a prime example. Remember Jim Caldwell during the Indianapolis Colts Super Bowl run when they lost against the Saints. They had a chance to go 17-0. It was their last 2 division games, their opponents was, first overall or more. So the thing is, he pulled his starters. He's like, I'm not going to play Peyton Manning against the Tennessee Titans so he can go out there and potentially get hurt, because they're going to be gunning for him. And that's the one thing that they want, for them to go out there and get Peyton Manning. So he pulled him. And he was strongly criticized because of it. So that's my biggest fear as far as college football this year. Are these conference games going to be opted out by the coaches? Because the players can, as a player, yeah, you getting paid. But guess what? If the coach say, hey, you going to play, your behind going to play. But the thing is, if the coach says, hey, we 13-0, we already secured a conference title already on paper, I'm not going to send my guys out there for a conference game. We're going to get ready for the playoff. How much is that going to affect viewership?
Well, that's kind of my point. So, I talked about tradition earlier. One of the things that set apart college football from the NFL was that. Mm-hmm. Now this is becoming more NFL-like now. And I don't really like it. I really don't. I like the fact that we have a playoff now. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But I don't like the automatic bids.
No, I don't either. But was all this progress at the expense of what made college football special?
The purity.
The purity of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's pure anymore, but when you add money, when you add a lot of money to anything, the purity is lost. Just being real. And like I said, it's not just on the players. I'm going to just be real now, and people don't want to talk about this. Now, I believe a lot of these damn college coaches are going to say, hell, I'm already dealing with guys making millions of dollars. Some of these guys are probably eventually going to be making more money than I am. So now I got to deal with the process of recruiting guys. I got to deal with the process of going into the transfer portal at a certain point, getting guys out of free agency. I got to deal with, certain things as far as the alumni is concerned, as far as them being similar to NFL owners at a certain point. A lot of these college coaches are going to be telling these schools to go to hell in a minute, because guess what? I got to do the same thing I have to do in college now that I have to do in the NFL. I got to go out here, get my players ready, keep track of those guys that I already have. Then on top of that, go out and see if I can get free agents. As far as transfer portal is concerned, they're going to start looking at it and say, hey, I did this at the college level. How hard can it be to go manage grown men? Because the thing is, coaches are losing power. Now you have to be a true leader of men. Now you have to be a true leader. That power is being undercut quick.
Well, here's the other part of it too. Is like, you know how this old saying that ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
As much as we all knew that these players were, it's like the top players, especially, were paid under the table and given houses and cars and all that kind of stuff. We all at the time, as much as we screamed that it was unfair and this is wrong, we all liked it in a way because it kept the purity of the game, or at least our ignorance to it.
Yeah.
Where it was amateur, technically.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'll be honest about that. I never liked that.
What?
I never liked that. And I'll tell you why I never liked that as far as the players, okay, they're getting money, getting punished for that. Is the exact I never liked that from the standpoint of it felt like they were throwing the players under the bus a lot of times for accepting those gifts and accepting those money, when in reality you can bet 9 times out of 10 the coaches had a lot of say-so in that, but the coaches could just shoo away from the accountability and responsibility, because at the end of the day, it's the players that get punished in that situation. So I never liked that. I guess I definitely don't want to see it basically being, minor league for the NFL, which is practically what it's turning into. But I'll say this though, I never liked the players getting punished. Particularly, it could be like a small gift, something small, like $200-$300 for something, and they lose like half a season or eligibility just because they took like a small gift. Whereas you got these coaches, they're at one place making $2 million a year, and then the next year, oh, look, bigger university, I can go make $6 million a year. I'm gonna go, and then just leave a recruiting class like high and dry like that. But so I guess,
do you think that we overcorrected? Because to me, instead of going full blown NIL, why didn't you just say like, hey kids, if you want to do autograph signings, go do autograph signings. Hey kid, if you want to go take a dinner from somebody, you can go take a dinner from somebody. Or you made a rule that, like, if you were a coach and you signed a deal and that coach recruited you and he bounced to a different program, then if you were part of the class,
you're free to go.
You have eligibility to go. Instead, we went full blown the other way and just gave and this is what we do in this country when it comes to not just sports or anything, but politics. We don't go with the simple answer. We go the extreme other way with it. And then all of a sudden we get there and we're like, wait a minute. I don't know if I really like this too much.
The thing is, my bad, Flash.
No,
the thing is, you got to think about this. And I hate to be political about it, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Hey, college is becoming much like the fucking workforce. And I hate to, I don't curse a lot on these platforms, a hard person.
We're adults.
But it's coming much like the freaking workforce.
Yeah.
Guess what? If I don't like it here, I can go somewhere else. And my thing is this: if you wasn't happy, the reason why I get mad, and not per se, Flash, when a lot of the old guys like myself, because I'm an old man, 36, almost 36 years old, when they complain about that, I said, hey, if you're not happy at your job and they only pay you $18 an hour, and somebody say, hey man, I got 36 hours over here. With the job that you're doing, it's less stressful, and on top of that, I'm going to give you benefits. Aren't you going? Yes, you are.
Absolutely. That's the part of capitalism that nobody talks about.
And that's the thing. That's the whole capitalism. I think the sport mimics society more than ever now. I think people, and I hate to shift gears and talk about basketball. I think that was what Kevin Durant did. People give him a hard time for that, but it's just like, hey, we went from companies competing with each other to merging with each other.
LeBron James started that.
So
yeah.
But yeah.
You're right. But is again, as much as I thought it was unfair, like how the players were treated, and I do, as much as I'm an old head, and I'm older than both of you guys, did we correct too far instead of just making simple changes?
I don't think we corrected too far.
I definitely see your point. I see your point there.
I don't think we corrected too far as the NIL is concerned, because the thing is this. Hey, look, I can show you the water. It's up to you to drink it. The thing is, you want it, you got it. Now you have to be responsible with it. Now I'm going to just be real. I think that it's great for these kids, because now you don't have no damn excuse. If you made NIL money in college, and you was like let's say a $2 million player, you play, let's say 3 years, that's $6 million. Now you go into the NFL, you get an even bigger contract. Then you become great and get that second contract. You don't have no reason not to succeed. I'm glad they put this on the players. Hey, we're going to give you what you want. We're going to give you these endorsements. We're going to give you everything you asked for. Guess what? Now you ain't got no reason not to succeed. You don't have any reason to, because everything is literally at your fingertips at this point. Now, can some cats take that and say, hey, I got the world at my fingertips, I'm going to burn this shit up? Yes, they will.
Absolutely.
You know,
they did that when they had nothing. And if you don't believe that, ask Lawrence Phillips. God rest his soul. So the thing is this. There's always going to be players that, run off the cliff when everything's given to them. We saw that even back in the day when we saw the purity of college sport. But now I like it, because the thing is, now you have no reason not to succeed. You have no reason to say, hey, I'm distracted because I don't have enough money for my shoes. Hey, now you can't say I don't have enough money. I can't get this. I can't get that. Now it's being, okay, you want this money? Here you go. Go ahead. Now you have no distractions off the field. And now you don't have any distractions saying you don't have enough food to eat. Now you can't say I don't have a ride. Now you can't say I don't have enough book money. Now you can't say I don't have this. Now you're putting now you have been given, all your chips are pushed to the table. You have every reason to succeed. And not only that, you can't say you can't have fun. You got a damn Lamborghini out there, and it's a college town. So guess what? You have every reason to succeed and every reason to say, hey, I can't do certain stuff.
I do like the aspect of what you're saying, that now we're treating these kids like adults, because they are adults. So that's part of it. But the next step in this is contracts, right?
Well, the thing is, the next step in this is salary cap anyway. And the thing is, they're going to have to put a cap on it anyway, because guess what? I'm going to just be real. If you think SMU and Texas A&M are not in the business of trying to buy themselves a national championship,
hell yeah,
you're a blankety blank fool.
Dude, all those donors now, they're like, oh, hell, I can. They
just paying out a $100 million contract to get Jimbo Fisher's ass the hell up out of there.
Yeah.
They just gave him $100 million to say, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Now all those donors, all those old white dudes that have been paying these kids under the table as it is already.
Yeah,
now they're like, oh, bet we can do this just out in the open.
But it's not going to happen until, I'm going to just tell you this, they're not going to put a salary cap on NIL until it's not going to be one of the blue blood programs, because they expect them to win.
It's going to be like a Jackson State or somebody small like that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's going to
be and then all the teams that are, and then all the teams that are used to winning, they're going to get pissed. And they're going to go, wait a minute here.
When they buy a national championship, just like SMU, that's the reason why they got pissed off at SMU. Because
hey, champ, you know who it's going to be too. I attended Georgia Southern University. I was in the Sun Belt with like Georgia Southern and Appalachian State and the Citadel and the schools like that. It's going to be a school like that comes out of nowhere and makes a playoff run to where they get the NIL money like that, and then the blue blood schools are going to be so ticked off, and then they want to cap it to where those schools like that can't contend.
We were talking about Notre Dame earlier. This might have been one of the best things to happen to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Because you got to have money to go to Notre Dame. And I'm telling you right now, all those frustrated donors in Notre Dame that have wanted a national title since 1980 something, dude, that money's going to be flying. Give Notre Dame a couple years.
They're not going to want to put a cap on it until one of these little Cinderella teams get a bid and make a. And I'm not talking about just make a run.
Give it 5. Yeah, give it 3 to 5 years. I guarantee you, there's going to be at least one school like that does it. Give it about 5 years. It's going to happen.
So it's going to be one of these little small schools because guess what? It's going to be kind of like March Madness. We're going to see one of these little Cinderella schools sneak on in.
It's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen because basically what's going to lead to it. It's going to be like one of these high 4 or 5-star players at like a quarterback, running back, wide receiver. They go to one of these schools and they practically just build the offense or something around them, and then they just get hot for like a 2-month stretch, and then bam, there it is. They make it, and then they're out on TV. But I will say this though, the reason I think the NIL money is probably going to be as far as it gets for the players. The reason why I don't see contracts getting into play, like true contract, and it's the same reason I keep going back to. Players are not going to want to get locked up like that from the standpoint, what if the coach jump ship? And then they're locked in there, and then they might not want to be there. So I don't think it'll get that far. So I think the NIL is probably going to be as far as it gets.
The reason why I think it might get that far, because I think a college will go like, hey, we're going to pay you extra. Like instead of like, oh, like let's say I'm just throwing out arbitrary numbers. Let's say Alabama comes to this one player, this 5-star recruit, says, we'll pay you $750,000 to play in the 2026 season. Well, if I'm SMU, I come to that player and I go, I'll pay you $3 million, but you got to play here at least 2 years. That's why that'll happen.
Hey,
but then if I'm the player and I'm looking at it from the standpoint, say that team's doing really well, and the coach is getting notoriety, and he's getting job offers, and teams calling on him, I'll be like, okay, promise me he's going to stay. If you can't, why should I sign?
Well, but here's the thing though. That's where like
agents come in. I see what you're saying, Flash.
We're going down this road. This is
because it's only so much that your parents are gonna. It's only so much that your parents are gonna be able to damn negotiate.
Yeah, because we've already seen. We saw the Marvin Harrison thing, and then a couple other kids have been screwed out of things because they've signed contracts
with fanatics
and other things, and then they get to the pros, and then they're getting screwed out of money. So agents are the next step.
I do agree with that. I agree with that.
That means lawyers, and lawyers want contracts. So now, because what'll happen is like that, like SMU will come to that 5-star recruit and like, all right, we'll give you $3 million a year, but you got to play here for 2 years. Well, then the agent's going to come back and like, all right, well, we'll accept this contract if the coach stays for yada 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 how long, and that'll be part of the contract. This is the route that we're going, and this is where I go as the old dude. I go, I'm kind of liking the ignorance is bliss part of this college football from years ago, because I don't want college football like what you said, BRF. I don't want it to just be the minor league because that's what it's going to turn into.
Hey,
and then. I'm just going to say this too. At what point, if you're like, I know it's a little different because you have donors and it's college football and stuff like that, but let's say you're a kid and you're like, well, I don't want to go to one of these schools because I'm limited. Why don't I go to the USFL and play instead?
Ooh. What
if you can go where?
To the USFL and play instead.
Well, the thing is, here you're not going to make that much money. Why the hell am I going to go to the
USFL
and pay $5,000 rather than that?
Not yet. I'm not saying this is going to happen in the next couple years, but once this starts going down the road, if college football is literally just going to be a feeder system in the minor leagues, what's stopping the USFL from taking off and basically taking those players away from college football. I'm just saying, once you start getting into negotiation with contracts and lawyers and agents and stuff like that, and money starts to fly, because then it's like, I'm going to go, besides college, if I'm a 5-star recruit, I'm going to go to Alabama. I'm like, well, SMU's offering me this. Well, wait a minute. The St. Louis whatever is offering me this. Like, this is
I think the UFL is partners with the NFL, and I don't think they're going to be letting these kids come out earlier than their junior year. I think they're going to keep a tight grip on that. I don't think they're going to let these guys come out.
Oh, they won't let these players play in the NFL.
But I'm talking about, but the UFL and the NFL are playing or working hand in hand. I don't think they're not like the old USFL. They're not the enemy of the NFL.
No,
they are literally developing players.
Because the Rocks come out. Yeah, because the Rocks come out and said that himself, that players that come to the UFL, he wants to see them eventually make the NFL. The Rocks come out and said that himself.
Yeah. So the thing is, they're not competing with the NFL anymore, like the president's old USFL was. So the thing is, they're not going to let these guys come out, and you're not going to be a freshman coming out of college in order to, come to the UFL and say, hey, I'm going to play here. Because like I said, and why would you want to? I'm not going to play in a minor league where I'm getting paid $10,000 a game, maybe even less, when I got an NIL contract that's going to pay me $1 million a year.
I know. I'm just saying, again, right now,
I like the premise of I like the premise of your thought, though. I really do.
I'm not saying that this is going to happen immediately. This is like, we're nowhere near that. College football has, and these universities have way too much money for the USFL or any other entity to compete right now. I'm just trying to say, like, this rabbit hole that we're going down, the farther and farther and farther away we're going to stray away from what made college football special. And I just think that, again, I think we're going to get to a certain point and we're going to go, wait a minute, I don't know if I like this anymore, because, but here's another argument that I didn't think of until just now. Maybe this incentivizes players to stay longer in college, especially college basketball, where now it's like 1 year and then they bounce. Now it's like, well, now there's incentive to stay. You're not going to be your schedule's not going to be that as demanding as it would be in the NBA. There's certain advantages to staying. So, but I still just, again, maybe I'm just not there yet. I kind of want to see this play out a little bit, but right now I'm kind of yearning for the old school conferences and the ignorance is bliss thing. I kind of want to see this play out and see how things play out, because like you, Champ, I'm worried about, are these coaches going to,
start making these conference games?
Are they just going to make them meaningless? And then, so it's like, where are we at in 5-6 years when it comes to college football? And right now I'm a little worried. So, but let's see. Let's see. I do like the salary cap idea, though. I think that's something that'll be implemented.
Mark my words. Remember, I said it. One of these and I want SMU to be that team so bad. I want them to be that team.
Dude, the karma.
Bad. I want them to be
the full circle in that. If it is SMU,
I wanted to be SMU so bad. Not only because I was an Eric Dickerson fan, but the thing is, you punished us for years for doing exactly what you're doing now. Now we're going to pay our players to kick your ass and go to the national championship. And I guarantee you, once that happens, everybody's going to start bitching and moaning. And guess what? That's when that salary cap is going to come into NIL. I guarantee it.
And they're ranked 24th. They were ranked at the end of the year.
They were ranked at the end of the year.
24th. Yeah. And right now they are ranked. Hold on. I just had the rankings up. Well, they're not ranked right now.
Yeah, but remember they got all the way up to 14 last year. So, I mean, in
Dude,
the great work.
And with that,
I would start to think that we were in a simulation if SMU is the one team that's going to the karma involved in that is
That's why I'm praying it's SMU that does that. Hey, and guess what, man? Look, in the playoffs, in the great words of the Joker, all it takes is one bad day.
And a team like SMU, like the way I how I talk about like in the pros in the playoffs, how defense and running games travels. Mm-hmm. Offense travels in college football. Sometimes it doesn't matter how a good offense and a good quarterback travels in college football. And the way SMU plays offense, they have one of those style of offenses that can just beat anybody on, like you said, any given Saturday. All it takes is one bad day. I'm right there with you, champ. And that would be so full circle too if it is SMU after basically going through the death penalty of college football. Ooh, it would be so full circle.
Hey, I would love to see it, man. But you know what? You know me. Y'all know me. I'm never gonna let us have a good show. Never gonna let us have a good show. So I saved my pipe bomb until the end of the show. So, start, bitch, cut. Who's the greatest team of all time in college football? USC Trojans, 2005, 01 Hurricanes, or the 2019 LSU Tigers? Who's the GOAT? I'm not gonna let us have a good show, man.
You go first, BRF. I want to see where you go with this.
All right. Okay. Everybody should really look at it like this. When you're looking at greatest teams of all time, it's about balance. It's about offensive and defensive balance. Oh gosh. Let the fireworks begin. I'm starting the 2019 LSU Tigers. Okay. I'm benching the 01 Hurricanes and I'm cutting the 05 USC Trojans.
That's fair.
I feel like if you're looking at, because my thing is, if you look at it like this, although that 05 USC team is one of the greatest offensive teams of all time, their defense was always a step or so behind them. Even though they had defensive players, that defense was always like a step or so behind them. With that 01 and 02, that 01 Miami Hurricane squad, their offense wasn't so far behind their defense to where I feel like USC's defense was a little bit too far behind their offense, which is why I got the order the way they did. And for me, that 2019 LSU, as great as that offense was, people forget how scary good that defense was. So I just feel like in terms of balance, that's why I'm going with the order the way I am. So I'm starting the 2019 LSU Tigers. I'm benching the 01 Hurricanes, and I'm cutting the 05 SC Trojans.
Fair enough. Flash.
I am going the same route, and I am cutting the 05 USC Trojans. It doesn't make me feel good because Reggie Bush is one of my all-time favorite college football players. I love Reggie Bush as a college football player. Like he's right up there. It's like him, Rocket Ismail, and a couple others. But he's right up there. He's like in my top three. So it's really hard for me to say that that's the team that I'm cutting. But where I am going to differ it up is that I'm starting the 01 Hurricanes because I think the star power on that Miami Hurricane team is insane. The only thing that LSU, in my opinion, really has over that 0-1 is the quarterback play. Joey Burrow is far and away a better quarterback than Ken Dorsey. Like, it's not even close. But you just look at that depth chart, though. It's just not. It's not. I had this pulled up somewhere. Sorry, hold on. Like the depth chart is, man. You got Ed Reed on there. Ed Reed, William Joseph, like, and then offense. I mean, just look. Hold on. I gotta. Hold on.
Clinton Portis.
Yes.
Frank Gore. Andre Johnson. Jeremy Shockey. Kellen Winslow. Roscoe Parrish. Sonoris Moss. Santana Moss. I mean, you just go down the list. It's amazing. Fun fact about the 2001 Miami Hurricanes: if their offense had never scored a point that year, they would have still gone 8-4. That's how far the defense outscored the offenses that they faced.
That's insane. I mean, no, that's not it. I'm trying to remember the depth chart on their defense. Just the depth chart.
You got to remember, it was Maurice Sykes, it was Jonathan Vilma, it was DJ Williams, it was Philip Buchanan, it was Ed Reed, it was remember that defense was so deep. Antrell Roll that year rode the bench that year.
I mean, wasn't it? I mean, you had what?
Let's see. Jerome McDougal on the D line.
Yes.
Like, it's just, yeah. Sean Taylor was a backup. Sean Taylor was a backup.
Hey, this one hit close to home for you. Vince Wilfork was a backup.
Was a backup.
Vince Wilfork was a backup.
Like, Sean Taylor was a backup. Vince Wilfork, like, if, you know, rest in peace. If Sean Taylor doesn't get killed, he's a Hall of Famer. Vince Wilfork,
he's a top 5 safety of all time if he doesn't die.
If he doesn't die, Vince Wilfork will be in the Hall of Fame at some point. Ed Reed is a Hall of Famer. You know, Philip Buchanan. DJ Williams, Hall of Famer. Jonathan Vilma was a long-term starting linebacker in this league. Philip Buchanan, long-term starting cornerback in this league. Like,
Antrell Roll,
long-term. Like,
Clinton Portis, the best running back room you're ever gonna see. Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, Frank Gore, Joe Jackson, Najee Davenport. You're not gonna get a better running back room than that.
Dude, it's Walter Payton's son was the 3rd string running back, and he was no slouch either.
Like, Jared Payton was a pretty good back.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about the offensive line. I mean, Bryant McKinney, like Brett Romberg, like it just
Eric Winston.
Like, I just don't know how you like it's really hard for me to put Joey B on the bench because he's a far better quarterback than Ken Dorsey. Like, yeah. But I think the better question is, do you think the 2019 LSU offense do you think they could be as dominant against this 0-1 Miami Hurricanes defense?
No. That was a no-fly zone. That was a no-fly zone.
But even the reason why I say that, even 0-1 Miami, when you having to see Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson on opposite ends of the spectrum, and don't get me wrong, Miami secondary, I feel, and another thing is just it's the pace the LSU offense played with too, just breakneck, don't stop. Doesn't matter what defense you ran on the field. They were gonna get theirs. It doesn't matter who your defense was. They were gonna get theirs. I don't know, man. It's just a magic about that offense. It was just some magic about that offense. That's just like I don't think that's where I'm giving LSU the edge from the standpoint of 60 minutes. Ken Dorsey, in my opinion, even though he's got all that talent around him, Ken Dorsey's not hanging with Joe Burrow. I think that's the breaking point for me. Joe Burrow is killing Ken Dorsey in a straight up QB matchup.
That's the one thing that gives me. I'm still starting the 0-1 Hurricanes, but it's the Joey B thing that gives me pause because there's only two quarterbacks that have legit are not afraid and haven't been afraid of Patrick Mahomes and have taken out Patrick Mahomes, and that's Tom Brady and Joey B. And yeah, but that defense is, dude. Ed Reed is arguably the greatest safety of all time. Arguably.
Okay, so you know what? Let's throw in another pipe bomb. Start, bitch, cut. Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, Rod Woodson. Who you taking?
Starting Ronnie Lott, I'm benching Ed Reed, and I'm cutting. Oh God, that hurts.
I'm about to say you rolled that off a little too fast. I'm like, think about it first before you say it.
I'm gonna no, because I'm gonna overthink this. Ronnie Lott, I'm starting. Ed Reed, I'm benching, and Rod Woodson, I'm cutting. That does not make me feel good because I love Rod Woodson, but I don't even think he's the better Woodson out of the two Woodsons.
Oh God, no! I agree with you. Charles Woodson was a dope.
Now, if you threw in Charles Woodson in there, Charles Woodson's peak, like that
late Oakland going into Green Bay peak.
Yep. Like that peak, and I would even say late Oakland because he was coming off that big
foot injury. Okay, so when he got to Green Bay,
pre-foot injury Charles Woodson, and then peak Charles Woodson like 2009, 2010 when he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. Like that Charles Woodson is like my second favorite player of all time behind Tom Brady. Like that player to me. Go back and watch his 2009 highlights when he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. Rod Woodson wasn't making plays like that.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon from the Block. Shout out to Brandon from the Block, man. Hell of a basketball show tonight, man. And hell of a show this past Monday night on the Throwdown. Go follow him. He's starting Ronnie. He's benching Ed and cutting Rod. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Ronnie Lott is like a besides the fact that he was an all-pro corner and an all-pro safety, like one of the hardest hitters ever, and dude cut off a pinky to keep playing football. Like he's got that again, I know I make this argument a lot when it comes to players. It's the aura thing.
Yeah.
I don't want and Ed Reed's really close with that. Because if you listen to guys like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and other players talk about how good Ed Reed was, he's got that a little bit. But Ronnie Lott had that, that it factor. The two, in my opinion, the three best defensive players in the NFL in the 80s were Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, and Ronnie Lott.
Yeah,
easy. It was those three players, and at the time when Ronnie Lott was at his peak, it was arguable that he was up there with Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White, in my opinion. But so that I'm going to stick with the Ronnie, Ed Reed, Rod Woodson.
Oh, I gotta go, Donna. Okay, all right.
I don't like you right now, sir.
All right, so
I'm not gonna let us have a good show, man. It's gonna be a pipe bomb somewhere.
All right, so I'm gonna do something similar. I'm gonna do something similar to what Flash did in the other start bench cut. Actually, I'm gonna do exactly the way Flash did it in the last Start Bitch cut. The only thing we're gonna share is we're gonna cut Rob Wilson. But I'm starting Ed Reed and I'm benching Ronnie Lott. The reason why I'm going to start Ed Reed because this is why I feel like this is why Ed Reed is like my favorite safety of all time. It's like he combined every good quality about a safety and turned the volume up to 100. Like it's like he played with the first, like one thing people don't give Ed Reed enough credit for was how damn hard he hit people.
Yeah,
he is one of the hardest hitters football has ever seen in his own right. But what I loved about Ed Reed, like Flash, you know how in baseball with the really good hitters, they're in scoring position at home plate. Ed Reed was in scoring position no matter what part of the field you put him in. That's why I loved him so much. His ability to, not just interceptions and taking him to the house. The man wasn't scared to return kicks. The man wasn't scared to play on special teams. And the fact, in my opinion, he is like the greatest I've ever seen at the art of the defensive touchdown. The dude's just insane. It's like quarterbacks. You were never set like. It's one thing to not be. It's one thing for Ronnie Lott. Your wide receivers are never safe. You go across the middle of Ronnie Lott, you're liable to lose one for at least a half, if not the rest of the game. Because all they got to do is hit you one time, and it changes the course of the game. Because you could lose your number one or number two receiver. With Ed Reed, you could lose a game like in an instant.
He was. Go ahead, dude. No.
Yeah, like and not just that. His ability to dissect plays, like. There's a reason quarterbacks hated seeing Ray Lewis at middle linebacker and Ed Reed at safety because their football IQs are just through the freaking roof.
Yeah,
their ability to dissect and decipher and being able to read keys and being able to understand routes and concepts and everything like that and being able to just diagnose on the fly and then just take a game over like that. I don't think I've ever. It's like I've never seen as great as Ronnie Lott was. Ed Reed's ability to just dissect an offense and just being able to like jump a route, get the pick, take it to the house, bam, that's it. It's just like, it was like something I'd never seen before.
I don't disagree with. I picked Ronnie Lott, but I also was going to say, if you say Ed Reed, I'm not mad about it, and here's the reason why too. Is you go and listen to two of the best quarterbacks that have ever played the game in Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Listen to them talk about Ed Reed. Right then and there, that should tell you all you need to know.
They hated going against him.
Yeah. Now, here's the other part of it, too. If I'm playing modern football, like modern, like mid-2000s to now, modern football, when I say modern, like in the 2000s, I'm going with Ed Reed. If I'm playing pre that, where the running backs are like the emphasis, I'm going Ronnie Lott. I think that's the difference. I think if I'm playing like 80s, 90s football, I am going Ronnie Lott. I think if I'm playing like air it out era, I'm going Ed Reed because Ed Reed.
I like that.
Ed Reed to me was like if. His closing speed and his ability to read quarterbacks' eyes and anticipate in the football IQ is very similar to what Deion Sanders was. Watch him close on a ball on his highlights. It's very similar to Deion Sanders. Like it was instant. It's like he wasn't even in the camera, and then all of a sudden, bang, he's there and hops the route, and he's just gone. Because to me, the three best guys on defense to ever score touchdowns were Deion, Ed Reed, and Charles Woodson. Those three, in my opinion, if I want a defensive touchdown, those are the three that I'm going after. But
there's another safety that did that, but you can't say his name because of all the bullshit. So, because, well, you know what? I know a lot of controversy happened, but Darren Sharper was one of those guys too.
Yeah, we can still look. We can
Mhm.
still talk about guys like that. I mean, like, yeah, he's a terrible human being, but
Mhm.
he still is
Hey,
a
I'm
great.
cautious, man. I ain't trying to get canceled, bro.
Yeah, well,
I ain't trying to get canceled before we get the damn show off the ground, bro.
I don't think
Champ, we had an OJ topic, bro. I promise you all right.
like I don't.
We've had an OJ topic. I promise you safe.
I don't
You had to break that up, didn't you?
yeah,
I'm just telling it like it is, baby. That's what we do here.
yeah. I think just saying that Darren Sharper was a good football player is not. You're not lying. Like it, he was. He's a good. Look, I watched him I watched him in Green Bay for years.
Yeah.
He's not a good human being. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want him. I'm not inviting him to hang out with me.
No, I'm just getting ready to say, Champ, as Falcons fans, we saw that man in New Orleans. We couldn't stand him. Trust me. We know.
Trust me, I hated him.
We died.
Ain't he the one who hurt Michael Turner that year?
I think he is, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. And that's why I don't like him to this day. But my start bitch cut. Hey, I'm starting the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, man. Dominant team. Dominant. I saw that team firsthand. I mean to see that. And what's so funny about that? They had a chance to be repeat champions. Had it not been for a certain call. So 2001 Miami Hurricanes, arguably some of the best football in college and pro you ever gonna see. But hey, LSU number 2. Simply because guess what, man? I love that. I love that offense. But hey, man, look, you got ball hawks like Ed Reed out there. You know what? It's hard to put somebody even a Justin Jefferson and a Jamar Chase against an Ed Reed in that secondary. It's hard to do that. And plus, if they have to, and plus, even if they had to check you in the slot, Antrell Roll could. But I got to go with them. Third, I got to go with USC, and I think that people underrate the amount of NFL talent that was on that team. People talk about the fact that they talk about Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and Dwayne Jarrett, and those offensive guys. Don't forget, man, they had Keith Rivers, Ray Mongle, and Brian Cushing and Clay Matthews on that team.
This is true.
So
very true.
Discount those guys. Those are, if you go back and look at a lot of, and then not to mention their offensive line, Winston Justice was on that team. So when you think about one of those teams, although they lost, it was some of the. If you go back and look at that up that team in USC in 2005, on that roster, it's over 25 NFL players that made it there and made an impact. It wasn't just some run-of-the-mill NFL players. 25 NFL players made it from that team and made an impact on each team they went to. So I gotta, put USC last over those two because over the course of magical season and dominant, University U and LSU, they far exceeded the Trojans at a certain point. So,
but I want to make another point about the about Ed Reed real quick. If for the newer generation who might only have clips of Ed Reed and all the stuff, if you didn't watch a lot of them, one play really personifies who Ed Reed was as a football player. It was that game against the Jets where they called the halfback option and they threw it in the end zone and he picked it off. And he ran it all the way back. And if you see the clip, you see Brian Billick. He was head coach at the time. You're like, no, Ed, get down, Ed. Go, no, get down, Ed, get down, Ed. And Ed keep running. And then he's just like, go, Ed, go, Ed, go, Ed. I'm like, if there's ever a play that personifies Ed Reed as a football player, that's the play.
Hey, a typical no, yes player in the great words of the late, great Dan Reeves. A no, yes player. We've seen a lot of those during the time. So, hey, man. Look, Hey, I must say, man, this has been a hell of a pod, number one. But hey, in the great words of Morris Day, we ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell up out of here. So on that note, man, look, that concludes the podcast. Had a hell of a show today, man. And I must say, man, I enjoyed every second of this. Hey, man, won't be on the PSP podcast this Friday, but you can rest assured that one of my guys here, they're going to take my place and they're going to rock the house. Shout out to PSP, by the way, man. Catch them every Friday night at 9. I will be at the last preseason game for them Atlanta Falcons when the Dirty Birds take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to my main man, Jimmy, who hooked me up with those tickets. And guess what, man? On that note, man, we got to get up out of here. So on that note, man, BRF, tell the people where to follow you at and tell the people what you got going on this week.
Well, as always, BRF Sports is a TikTok handle. Linktree is in the bio. Big Sugar 1122. IG/Twitter. IG X/Twitter. Facebook. You just come out, just show your boy some love. I'm just joining. Like I said, I got a Discord. I got my BRF Sports Discord as well. If you want to click my active link in the bio, you're more than welcome to come in, cut it up with me, enjoy it, talk some sports. I've been posting a little more this week. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been posting a little more content, trying to get it back right. Whether it's WWE, whether it's football, basketball, like one of my main things I do like to do. I like feedback, but I do like to call out BS when I see it. So don't be surprised if you see me stitching some pretty crappy hot takes and kind of trying to set some people straight on this app. If you've seen like my last video, Tiki Barber in an older clip, yeah, I would take Daniel Jones 100 times out of 100 times over Dak Prescott. And if you saw my stitch, I didn't say a word. If you saw the look on my face, you knew what I meant. You knew what I was trying to say. I love Tiki Barber. He was an underrated running back. He was one of my favorite running backs at the time he was playing. But I want to know who his plug was before he said that. And we'll just leave it at that. So a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. Always appreciate the love and support from everybody. Yeah, Brandon. I don't know what Tiki was thinking. He only. I don't care if he's a giant. I get it, but don't let stuff like that come out your mouth. So appreciate Champ. Always let me on here. My fellow 706er. We always repping it. We always having a blast. But yeah, y'all know the slogan. Topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. Y'all keep following me. I appreciate the love and support, and I'm gonna keep the content pumping.
All right. Flash.
You find me at Flash22, all underscores in between all the letters on TikTok and Instagram. I've been kind of failing on putting out content lately, whatever, but I've been on a lot of vacations and doing a lot of stuff right now, and just haven't really found my. I need a good rhythm to start putting out content again. But football season is coming up. I'm also going to probably start streaming a little bit more when it comes to video games on Twitch a little bit. Something I might start doing. Please forgive me. My daughter's school year is starting soon, so I got to try and find a different schedule on how to get content out. So I got to kind of figure that out, and I've been kind of lazy on that. But definitely with football on the horizon now, we're going to see some more content. So I don't understand the Tiki Barber thing. I saw that too, and I just kind of threw up in my mouth a little bit, and I was kind of like, why are you on TV saying stuff like that? Like, I don't don't get me wrong. Dak Prescott has his issues as a quarterback, but at least the man can throw a ball. Like, I don't know. I can't.
Let me tell you something, Flash. It wasn't that video. I don't know what's been going. I don't know where all this Daniel Jones talk has been coming from. But I had another stitch recently where this girl was talking about like all the contracts that have been handed out recently, and then trying to compare like, oh well, such and such and such quarterbacks, they only have one playoff win, just like Daniel Jones, and they're getting this money. Why do they deserve all this money? She tried to put Lamar Jackson in there, and I'm like, no, ma'am, don't you ever do that again. Dude, don't you ever put Daniel Jones and Lamar Jackson in the same class. Don't ever do that again. Lamar Jackson has 2 MVPs. He has an AFC title game appearance. Let's not go there. let's not. And all of those quarterbacks that were in like the $50 million range as far as like making money are all better than Daniel Jones. So I don't know where all this Daniel Jones stuff is coming from. And if you've seen his preseason, he's been god awful. So it's like what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I don't know. I seen some dumb, like I made some videos on some hot takes. Like I remember, I don't know what dude, but I think he was on with that one guy that I was on a podcast with recently with you, Champ, like a couple months ago when it was like 15 of us. And he was on that host was on another podcast with another dude, and the other dude was like, "Yeah, Brett Favre wasn't an elite quarterback," and I'm like.
Yeah, I can't go home after that.
Yeah, and then you just hear stuff like
I can't. Yeah, hey, look here. I have had a bad habit lately. I have rage quit at least 2 podcasts. As of lately, I'm like, look here, I'm not going to be on here with nonsense, making myself feel stupid and look bad. So,
exactly. Like I don't know when I see stuff like that, or like the one dude that I that said that Bird didn't have any kind of longevity or any like.
Yes, I stitched him too,
dude. I literally was just like, I don't like. It's what as an old guy, it's what bothers me about the newer generation when it comes to sports content. It's like you just spew nonsense out of your mouth just for the sake of spewing nonsense, and your only retort to that is when somebody calls you an idiot, is you go, "You're just old and you don't know what you're talking about." And those guys played against plumbers, blah blah blah. And it's just like
I hate that. They played against plumbers and that. I'm like, and that's what bugs me. It's like whenever they want to use the drop a certain player in a certain era, it's always if you take somebody from this era and put them in the old era, they would just run circles around them. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, y'all think the term generational talent just started like a few years ago? That's always been around.
Like, the thing is, my bad, guys.
I just want to say one thing. You know who killed that argument? Jokic.
Thank you.
Best player in the NBA right now, and he's probably the least athletic out of all the top NBA players. So, like, I don't want to hear it.
Hey, if you want any evidence, I know people give Maddie a hard time. Maddie Ice on doing the podcast. I know everybody give him a hard time, but go look at the video that he posted today, and he has Patrick Mahomes right above here, and he has Sonny Jurgensen right below him. Because everybody was talking about, did you see that behind the back pass? I'm like, man, Sonny Jurgensen was doing that back in the 60s. What are you talking about? And the thing is, people don't understand this. I hate to sound like the old guy, but I'm going to quote my father on this. Ain't nothing new up under God's sun. Ain't nothing new up under the sun. Just as we saw, people thought that it was something when we saw Odell Beckham reach out and grab the ball with one hand. Hell, Chris Carter was doing that back in the 80s.
I was about to say, show them weekly highlights of Chris Carter.
Yeah.
He was doing that on a regular basis. Dan Marino was doing spectacular shit, and he didn't even have half of the mobility that Patrick Mahomes did.
He didn't even have really good quality. He had never had Hall of Fame talent around him. Like
he threw 5,000 yards in a running era. That just tells you how good Dan Marino was.
Can you imagine Marino in like just give him a smidge of the talent that Mahomes has had. Just a smidge. Dude to wreck the league.
I'll do you one better. Put Dan Marino on that 2016 Falcons team.
Oh, it's over.
As much as I love Matt Ryan, the Patriots are over.
Yeah. Well, and the reason
that damn ball out the damn thing.
Again, my big thing I'm a big guy on championships. Marino has always been my exception to the rule because, and when he's left out of like the top 5 all time, I think it's a travesty because that they're again, we talk about, Aaron Rodgers, nobody's ever thrown the ball at. Go back and watch Marino.
Yeah. And he didn't have no Hall of Famers.
No. Like he didn't even have in the running back era, he didn't even have like a all-pro running back ever.
No.
That I can think of. Like, no, never had an all-pro running back ever.
No.
Ever.
And
Never had an all-pro backs.
Yeah. And his running backs average less than 3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
But on another note, before we end the show, guys, look, gotta give a brief moment of silence, man. Rest in peace to the Golden State Warriors great Alvin Adams. He passed away today. So got to give a quick moment of silence and pay homage. Like I said, all of us here are from the old school, man, and we pay homage to the old school as well as the new school. So let's give Alvin Adams a moment of silence before we end the show, guys. And on that note, man, had a hell of a time today, man. I will see y'all back here on next Thursday. And we will be doing a special on week 1 of the NFL season.
Let's
and you
go.
can best believe I'm ready to talk, I'm ready to walk, and I'm ready to have some fish fries and some chicken wings. So let's get it. Let's get it. And on that note, we are out.
Chill.